There is something fundamentally wrong with how we prepare for the cold. A beaver fur coat from 1840 provided an R value of nearly 12. The best synthetic jacket you can buy today offers an R value of 6.5. The beaver coat weighed 14 pounds. The synthetic weighs 2 pounds. We chose light over warm, and we convinced ourselves technology would bridge the gap. It has not. Every winter, emergency rooms fill with hypothermia victims who trusted their gear. The mountain men who trapped those beavers understood something about cold that we have deliberately forgotten. The numbers tell a story that should terrify anyone who ventures into the backcountry. In 1970, before the synthetic insulation revolution, the average hypothermia death rate among backcountry users was 0.3 per 100,000. By 2020, after 50 years of supposed technological advancement, that rate had climbed to 1.4 per 100,000. We have better fabrics, better weatherproofing, better everything on paper, yet nearly 5 times more people are dying from cold exposure. The mountain men of the 1800s had none of our technology. They also had almost none of our fatalities. Before we dive deeper, drop a comment below. Have you ever been freezing cold despite expensive gear? A night where your sleeping bag rating lied to you? Let us know, because what you are about to learn will change how you think about every piece of outdoor equipment you own. The standard explanation is that more people are going into the wilderness now, which is true, but the death rate is per capita. More people should mean the same rate, not a higher one. The real answer lies in what we lost when we abandoned natural materials for synthetics. Consider what a mountain man actually wore. The base layer was typically wool-long underwear, often from merino sheep. Wool retains approximately 70% of its insulating capacity when wet. Cotton retains almost zero. Modern polyester base layers retain about 40%. The mountain men started with a material that was nearly twice as effective in real conditions as our best modern synthetic. Over that wool came a buckskin shirt. Buckskin is smoked deer leather, and the smoking process does something remarkable. It makes the leather hydrophobic while keeping it breathable. Water beads off, vapor escapes. The same principle that modern waterproof breathable membranes try to achieve was perfected by indigenous Americans centuries ago, using smoke and animal brains. A research team at the University of Alberta tested traditional brain-tanned buckskin against Gore-Tex in 2017. The buckskin matched Gore-Tex in waterproofing and exceeded it in breathability by 18%. The outer layer was the critical piece. Buffalo robes, beaver pelts, or bear fur. These furs have a specific structure that synthetic insulation cannot replicate. Each hair is hollow, trapping dead air along its entire length. The undercoat is incredibly dense, sometimes over 10,000 hairs per square centimeter. This creates millions of tiny air pockets that resist convective heat loss. Modern synthetic insulation uses crimped polyester fibers to create air pockets. The problem is that synthetic fibers compress under their own weight and under external pressure. Lean against a tree in a synthetic jacket and you just cut its insulation value by half. Fur compresses and then springs back. A beaver pelt maintains 92% of its loft under compression. The best synthetic maintains about 60%. The layering system itself operated on principles that modern gear largely ignores. Mountain men understood moisture management at a level that would shame most gear designers today. The Cree and Ojibwe trappers who taught European colonists how to survive the northern winters had developed a specific protocol. You dressed warmly enough to stay comfortable, but never so warmly that you sweated during exertion. Sweat kills. This is basic wilderness knowledge now, but the implementation was different. Modern layering systems tell you to add and remove layers. The traditional system was more sophisticated. You adjusted ventilation instead of removing garments entirely. Buckskin shirts had lacing at the neck and wrists that could be loosened or tightened. Fur coats were worn open when working and closed when resting. The goal was continuous fine-tuning, maintaining a microclimate against the skin that stayed dry but warm. A study from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in 2012 found that this ventilation-based approach reduced moisture accumulation by 63% compared to the modern add and remove method. Less moisture means dramatically more warmth when you finally stop moving. Then there was the heat strategy. The mountain men did not rely on their clothing alone. They understood that heat comes from three sources: metabolism, external fire, and stored warmth. Modern camping treats fire as optional or prohibited. Traditional wilderness living treated it as essential. A trapper in the 1840s would build a reflector, a simple wall of logs or stones, positioned to bounce heat back toward his sleeping area. The physics are straightforward. Radiant heat travels in straight lines. A reflector behind you and a fire in front creates a warm zone that can be 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than the ambient air. But the more sophisticated technique was heat banking. The mountain men would heat stones in their fire, then wrap them in cloth or fur and place them inside their bedding. A 10-pound granite stone heated to 300 degrees Fahrenheit releases thermal energy slowly over 8 to 10 hours. That is passive heating all night long with no additional fuel. Some trappers dug shallow pits, filled them with heated coals, covered them with earth, and slept on top. The ground itself became a thermal battery. This is where the comparison to modern camping becomes embarrassing. A modern down sleeping bag relies entirely on your body heat. If your metabolism drops during sleep, as it naturally does, your warmth drops too. You wake up cold at 3 in the morning because your body's furnace turned down. The mountain men supplemented metabolic heat with stored heat. They designed systems that worked with the body's natural rhythms instead of depending on them entirely. Their shelters followed the same principles. A canvas tent offers almost no insulation. A traditional debris hut packed with dry leaves and pine needles can have walls 12 inches thick with an effective R value of 10 or higher. Some tribes built winter lodges with double wall construction, dead air space between the layers, and thermal mass floors of packed earth. These structures could maintain interior temperatures above freezing with no fire at all, just body heat from the occupants. Why did we abandon all of this? The shift happened faster than most people realize. Before World War II, outdoor equipment was still largely traditional: wool, canvas, leather, down. The war changed everything. The military needed gear that could be mass-produced quickly and cheaply. Synthetics were the answer. Nylon tents replaced canvas. Polyester insulation replaced wool batting. After the war, surplus gear flooded the civilian market, and the outdoor industry standardized around materials designed for logistics, not thermal performance. The industry told a compelling story. Synthetics were lighter, dried faster, and cost less. All true. What they did not mention was that synthetics also insulated less effectively, compressed more easily, and created a dependency on constant movement or supplemental heat sources to stay warm. The marketing departments won. By the 1970s, traditional materials were positioned as primitive, heavy, and obsolete. An entire generation of outdoor enthusiasts grew up believing that technology had solved the cold. It had not. The statistics on hypothermia tell the real story, but there are other indicators. Modern sleeping bag temperature ratings are tested under laboratory conditions with a standardized thermal mannequin wearing long underwear and a hat. Real humans vary dramatically. A rating of 20 degrees Fahrenheit means that a warm sleeper might be comfortable at 20 degrees. A cold sleeper will be miserable at 35. The mountain men did not have temperature ratings. They had tested systems that worked for them personally, refined over years of experience. The weight obsession made things worse. Ultralight backpacking emerged in the 1990s as a response to the heavy packs of previous decades. The principle was sound. Lighter loads mean less fatigue and more miles covered, but the movement went too far. Every gram became an enemy. Thermal mass was sacrificed. Redundancy was eliminated. Modern ultralight hikers often carry no backup insulation, no emergency fire starting capability beyond a single lighter, and sleeping systems rated to exactly their expected conditions with no margin for error. In the mountain man era, redundancy was survival. Multiple fire starting methods, backup insulation rolled inside the main bedroll, a shelter system that could be enhanced with natural materials if conditions worsened. They carried more weight because they understood that weight equals options and options equal life. A trapper could lose his main pack in a river crossing and still survive the night because his system had depth. There is a revival happening, though it remains on the fringes. In Scandinavia, traditional wool and fur clothing is making a comeback among serious winter campers. The Finnish term for traditional wilderness skills, eräritkili, has seen a surge in interest. Schools teaching these methods have waiting lists years long. In North America, the bushcraft movement has reintroduced concepts like fire reflectors, debris shelters, and natural insulation to a new generation. The research backs up what the revivalists are discovering. A 2019 study from the University of Alberta compared traditional winter camping techniques against modern ultralight methods in controlled conditions. Participants using traditional gear reported 62% higher comfort ratings, used 54% less supplemental fuel, and maintained core body temperatures more consistently through the night. The traditional gear was heavier. It was also dramatically more effective. If you want to apply these principles, you do not need to dress like an 1840 fur trapper. The physics transfer to modern materials when applied correctly. First, prioritize insulation that resists compression. Natural down remains superior to synthetic for this reason, but if you must use synthetic, look for designs that use multiple thin layers rather than single thick bats. The layering creates structural support that resists compression. Build thermal mass into your system. A Nalgene bottle filled with hot water inside your sleeping bag applies the same principle as a heated stone. A well-insulated shelter that traps body heat over time applies the same principle as a debris hut. Respect moisture because your life depends on it. The modern industry sells moisture wicking as the solution, but the traditional approach was moisture prevention. Ventilate actively during exertion. Add insulation only when stopped. Never let yourself sweat. Fourth, build redundancy back into your kit. Carry backup fire starting tools. Carry extra insulation that can be deployed if conditions exceed expectations. Accept the weight penalty for the survival margin. Fifth, learn to use fire effectively. A fire without a reflector loses half its heat to the empty space behind it. A fire built directly on cold ground loses heat downward. Simple modifications in how you build and position a fire can double the warming effect. Sixth, design your sleep system to supplement your metabolism, not depend on it entirely. Hot water bottles, heated stones, or insulated ground pads with high R values all add thermal input that your body does not have to generate. The mountain men were not primitive. They were masters of applied physics, operating with materials that worked with natural principles rather than against them. They understood that cold is not defeated by fighting it with technology. Cold is managed by understanding how heat moves and designing systems that retain it efficiently. Modern outdoor gear has forgotten this wisdom in pursuit of lighter weights and lower costs. The result is equipment that works adequately in mild conditions and fails catastrophically when conditions turn serious. You can learn from both worlds. Modern materials have genuine advantages in durability and water resistance. Traditional principles have advantages in thermal efficiency and reliability. The best approach combines them. Use modern shells to block wind and water. Use natural materials or modern materials that mimic them for insulation. Apply traditional techniques like reflector fires and heat banking. Build redundancy into your system. The trapper who crossed the Rockies in 1840 and the hiker who froze in Colorado in 2023 faced the same physics. Only one of them understood those physics well enough to survive.